Hi guys, welcome to Learn Electronics Repair. Today I have one of these to repair. I've had these before. If you watch the channel regularly, you've probably seen them. So this is a BEIN sports satellite receiver, complete with its power supply there, and the customer says it's dead. He says he's tried a few different power supplies and he has more than one of these boxes, so he certainly has at least another one to try. His other one is working. So I think we can pretty much assume it's not the power supply. I've managed to fix these on occasion, not always. There's a little Humax made box. This one's been opened up before. In fact, actually, it looks like the top is not the same one that was originally on there, okay? So we're just going to have a look and see what it's doing and see if we can repair it again if this one's been fixed before. I've had various problems, from dead to no power going out to the LMB to a faulty, not the card reader itself, but the interface chip to the card reader. So I've had a number of problems with these and fixed them. With something like this, I could just connect it to the power supply, but it's a lot more informative if I connect it to my bench power supply, because I can have a look to see what this is doing, how much current it's drawing, okay? And that might tell us something. So I have this connector. I'll just wire it up with some crocodile clip leads, make sure the polarity is correct, and we'll power up from here and see what the power supply tells us. So first things first, do we have any voltage and is it the right way round? Okay, so switch power supply on. What do I have? Plus 12 volts, so that's good. Yep, polarity definitely correct. Let's have a look at the bench power supply. And there it is. Right, what does this do? Well, it draws some power, so it's not dead, it is drawing some power. But there's no lights on the front, nothing lit up. The power button doesn't do anything. But there's definitely some power going into it. Okay. Let's open it up and have a look. Well, first things first, these capacitors look like they failed to me. Yeah. They look like they failed. This is the unit, so there's not a lot in this particularly. This is basically the brains of it. This is one I have repaired before because you can see a little bit of glue there just to hold the heat sink on because it was falling off. This is the interface chip that goes to the card reader. This is possibly the one I already replaced. If I did, I made a pretty good job of it. Yeah, it was one of this guy's boxes, but he has two. And then we have 4 more of these buck converters. So the only thing you can really do with these is hope that it's one of the voltage rails that isn't working really. But in this case, it looks like these have gone. So first thing, let's just get those changed and let's see if that fixes it. These are 50 volt 100 microfarad capacitors. I'm fairly certain that this power supply powers the tuner, okay? Or rather, not so much the tuner, it powers the LMB. Because the LMB would have between 12 and 18 volts on, depending on which polarity of signal you're telling the LMB to receive, horizontal or vertical. I don't believe they need to be as high as 50 volt. I think probably 25 is enough. But let me have a look to see whether I have any 50 volt, 100 microfarad. And I do. They're salvaged ones, they're not new ones, but we can test them for capacitance, we can test them for ESR. I don't have 2 of the same sort, but that's not that important, I don't think. And yeah, we should be able to replace those. I am thinking that this power supply, because I'm confident this is just supplying power to the LNB basically in the tuner, is not really related to powering this chip. That's these other ones. So I'm not totally convinced that in itself would cause this fault, but you know, it's what we've got to go on, so we do it and then we have a look to see where we are after that. Okay, here's one of the capacitors, so 100 microfarad, 50 volt, 105C, that's the same rating as the original ones. Let's see if the capacitance looks okay. Yep, that's looking good. Let's try another one. So again, this one 100 mic 50, 105. Okay, how's this one looking? It's close enough. Okay. How about the ESR? That's quite low. I mean, it's not extremely low. In fact, just make a better contact. It's lower now. Okay. This one. That's lower, much lower. I'll check one of the other ones I have just to see what we have, and then we can always measure the capacitance on these. So this one, that's higher. And this one, is lower. So we'll use those two. I'll just check the capacitance of this one, of course. Yeah, close. In fact, spot on. Okay, let's take these ones out. Shouldn't be too difficult. Of course, saying that will curse it, but we'll see. Always just check. So you can see the white marking on the silk screening. Do not assume that is always negative. I've seen a lot of motherboards, for example, where that is positive. Okay, these have a plus marked as well by them, so there's no confusion with these, but sometimes there can be, okay? And you do not want to confuse the polarity of electrolytic capacitors. I've never done it myself, of course, but I've heard it's not a good idea. Okay, they're desoldered. I have the holes cleaned through to put the new ones in. I actually used this little needle to push through. This one was a little bit difficult to do. Those were easy. They actually came off with braid, but the difficult one, I used the desoldering needle, and that actually works on this one. So you don't really need expensive equipment to do this sort of thing. Okay, the vacuum desoldering tool is very nice, but this did the job, okay? Negative to the white then. It's in. Of course, because the leads are very short, being a pull, a salvaged one, I have to hold it in place and at least just tag one end down. Yep, that's good. Okay, that one's not going to fall out anyway. Let's just clean that flux off. Okay, There we are. Yes, I have the polarity the right way round. Okay. A little bit of flux in there, just get that out. Right, let's try this and let's see whether that actually makes any difference. We see the power supply there, plug it in, and it does about the same, 210 milliamps, doesn't switch on, the LED would light up. Okay, nothing there. Normally this goes red when it switches on and turns to green when you press the button. Okay. These feel cold. This feels cold. Oh, there's a bit of warmth in that one. So it has some power, I would say. Okay, let's see what voltages we have on here. From ground, I think this one's about, yes, 12 volts at the moment. It switches to 18 as you change to a horizontal or vertical channel. Okay, this one 3.3 volt. This is the 5 volt supply. 1.02, that'll be powering this. I think the other one might be the RAM. Yeah, 1.5 is the RAM. So this has all the voltage supplies. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear to work. I'll attach the HDMI lead. Yeah, we have a blank screen there. There's nothing on the TV. Let me just get the thermal camera. Okay, let's have a look. So the processor is about 40 degrees. I mean, that's not unusual. Okay. $39.40 degrees. What else do we have? Another one. Same sort of temperature, really. A couple up here. They're there actually. 37. 37. Yeah, 40. And this one. And this one is cold, 30 degrees. I mean, I don't have an LNB attached, so you'd expect that to be quite cold actually. So, unfortunately, this is one of those which you can't really fix. Either the chip, the ASIC under here, which does everything, is faulty, or it's a simple matter that there's something wrong with the firmware, but there's no firmware available for these. I'm not even sure where it's stored. It's obviously stored somewhere. It could be that this is done a software upgrade, which is done over the air, and then being switched off, or the power failed during that upgrade. Let's look underneath it. Nothing to see here. I'll just see how warm that is on this side as well. But the fact the heatsink's getting quite warm, I expect he's making good contact, and if it isn't, well, it's died anyway, yeah. So this is underneath the processor. Again, we can see about 40 degrees. I mean, that's fine. There's another voltage regulator here by the looks of it. Again, about 36 degrees. What voltage do we have around that one? Well, that one doesn't appear to be powered up at all. Okay. This seems to be close to the USB at a guess. I mean, the USB is there. If this is something related to the USB, I'm not sure it is. The USB connector is okay. I'm just looking at that, by the way. And the HDMI also looks good. We can just check with the microscope. That looks good to me. Same with the USB. Same with that side. Okay. I'm not sure this is actually related to the USB, to be quite honest. There's another little regulator here. This is the power coming in. We can have a quick look around that as well. And then we can try the composite video out. I have seen these fail where the HDMI doesn't work, but the composite does. But I'll be honest, these things normally draw 600, 700 milliamps. This is not doing. Okay, some of that does go to the LNB. But when I'm testing on my bench, I don't have one attached, and I see that sort of load usually. So let's just make a few final checks. This actually might not be a voltage regulator at all, to be quite honest. What do we see? That's 0. Oh no, it's not. 1.14. This one. 2.7. This one. Probably, 5 volts. It's 5 volts on that one. Be ground somewhere. There'll be this middle pin. What is this thing? 0 also. Okay, so can't say for certain what that is, but it has some power on it. Yeah. So that's my little portable TV up there. Set to AV. And it says no signal. So I'll give it a few minutes. It'll just take a little while to boot up, but it's still drawing a steady current. So even when I press the on switch, it doesn't make any difference to the current drawn. Another thing that tells me this is not starting. Yes, I'd have to say that is just dead, basically. I'm not sure there's any available repair technique to get any further with this. It has a couple of RAM chips. It has this processor thing under here. But I've glued that on quite well. I have some scrap ones of these, but even if I, for example, could unsolder this processor and replace it with another one, it's not going to help even if it does power up, because the card is married to the box. So the card has to have the correct processor there. Each box has a serial number on and it's matched to that card. So you can't put the card in another box. That's another problem, even though there is a subscription on it. And you can't change this chip, even though I do have some scrap ones. It's not feasible. There's no information on these. That's the other problem. So it's quite possible that the problem with this is because it's done the software update. They do this automatically from the satellite, so they download new firmware and they update. Now it says do not switch off. If that's gone wrong, then that could effectively just mess up the firmware on this and it won't boot anymore. If the download itself fails, that's fair enough, because it just does the download again. I've seen that happen. Once the download's completed, it then starts erasing and writing firmware. That's like the danger point, if you like. So it could have failed at that time. Could have just failed. I mean, this is probably 4 or 5 years old, something like that. It may be even older than that, actually. And these things in these bars usually sit on top of other equipment, so they get a bit warm. And even if they didn't, it gets a bit warm here anyway most of the time, yeah. Given all of that, then, to me, this is not repairable. If any of you guys has any strategy by which it could be repaired, it's probably because you know more than me about it. Yeah, you know how to flash this or something. Just to make things worse, this is like effectively a secure device. They don't want you pirating their TV service. So that's another good reason why there's just no information out there. That one then, guys, is a no. Can't fix this one. Seems some YouTubers can fix everything they find. Personally, I find that is not the case. Okay, so you've seen me fix a number of these before. Even this one's been repaired successfully before. But today, it's reached the end of the line. Oh well, never mind, that happens. Let's find another job, and hopefully that'll be better than this one. Ciao for now, guys.